me tearing up, it's like it's one after another kill. Hurts me, but imagine how the mothers feel.
On the plane, the pilot instructs the passengers to put their seatbelts as they are landing in 15 minutes in Tokyo. Mutoh enjoys the view from the plane and takes some pictures. Elsewhere, Ayumu, Mutoh and others from her team practice in the stadium, and their coach informs who will be participating in the 400-meter relay race. A big earthquake hits Tokyo and Mutoh doesn't realize it until his lunch falls from the table. At a different stadium, Koichiro Mutoh works as constructor and they decided to finish the lights and call it a day. Ayumu's coach decide to stop the practice for the day and the girls go in the locker room to change clothes. They receive message for incoming earthquake and think it's just the aftershock, but then a stronger and more destructive earthquake hits them. When Ayumu opens her eyes, she sees all the destruction and dead friends. An injured girl asks her for help, but she panics and runs towards home. Go got injured and recalls what his father told him and tries to get outside. Koichiro survived without injuries as his safety ropes kept him from falling down. He gets on his scooter and heads home, but then a building collapses and falls on the bridge he is on. The plane was damaged and had to emergency land in the river. While the people evacuate from it, they see incoming tsunami and Mari jumps in the water, but sees a kid drowning and helps it. Ayumu reaches their home, but as no one is there, she goes to the nearby schoolyard, where people had gathered. She calls for her family, but is unable to find anyone. She sees a colorful lights at the hill and is reminded of how her father illuminated their plants. Running there, she finds her father who explains he also went home and couldn't find Go there. While waiting, Ayumu sees some people she knows and then sees Nanami carrying Go. As they look at his injury, their mother Mari also arrives. Looking at Tokyo from the hill, they see the city is burning and it's flooded. Mari is glad that they are alive and together and wants to take pictures along with Haruo Koga and Nanami Miura. But Haruto stays away and doesn't say anything, and Nanami decides to take a picture of the family. As Signal returns to the phone, Nanami asks Ayumu if she can borrow hers to call her family and Ayumu agrees. Ayumu starts crying for leaving her team behind and not helping her, and Mari and Koichiro try to comfort her. In that moment, people fall from the sky and they see a helicopter crashing. As they look up, they see more dead people in the trees.
What's that?
A man arrives on the hill and informs the survivors that the evacuation camp was hit by a firestorm and destroyed. Another man hands food and water supplies to the survivors and they spend the night on the hill. In the morning they are awakened by explosions in a factory in Kawasaki. A survivor tells the rest that the water had reached the base of the hill and they may end up stranded on the hill. Wondering if the levees were busted, they start looking for news on the internet and find out that Okinawa is completely destroyed. The survivors decide to move due to the rising water, and Ayumu sees that Haruo still haven't prepared to leave and wonders if it's because he waits for his mother and tells him they will go look for her, but Haruo only comments that she is dead and gets up to move. As they go, soon they encounter the boy that was saved by Mari, and his father decides they join their group. They reach a crossroad and a man explains that the epicenter was in Okinawa, thus the west is dangerous. But Koichiro comments there were news of Ibaraki sinking. The man explains that in east there is a distribution center for his convenience store and there is food supplies there, and also he doesn't trust that report. Go borrows Ayumu's phone and contacts his gaming friends, who tell him that eastern Japan was hit harder and there are no lights during the night satellite picture. Koichiro decides the Mutoh go west and Nanami joins them, while the rest of the group decide to go east. Traveling west, Ayumu sees an old couple and decides to share their last water with them, but they end up taking the whole bottle. They reach a store, but it was already looted and there was no water in the sink. A small earthquake shakes them for a bit and they decide to use the hills as the roads could collapse. They end up finding a river and take a break while resupply with water. Following the river, they reach a residential area, but are unable to see anyone alive. A wild boar appears and attacks them, and Koichiro protects Ayumu and ends up riding it. He manages to kill it and they cook it for dinner that night, but Ayumu feels sick and refuses to eat it. They continue on the next day and reach a private garden that has a signs asking people to not dig for yams. Koichiro realizes that means there are yams there and they take a break while he tries to dig out some. Nanami tells Ayumu they should go and look for other food. As they go, Ayumu sees more warning signs warning them about old buried explosives. In that moment, Koichiro hits something metallic with his shovel.
No way.
The group continues, but Ayumu eventually stops, angry that her mother dies and appear upset about her father's death. Ayumu is sure that they are blaming her for Koichiro's death. As they argue, a truck heads their way and they get on it. The driver comments on the explosion earlier, explaining that the earthquake had unburied some old explosives and they are like mines now. Nanami asks him to drink less, but he explains there are no cops around anymore, so it's fine. They stop for a gas refill, but as the machine won't take the money, they are not able to get any gas. Nanami goes to wash her hands and the driver follows her, wanting to have some fun with her. As she refuses and explains she can defend herself, he takes his belt and prepares to fight her, but she kicks him in the face. He takes out a stun gun, but Mari uses a broom and knocks it out of his hand. The driver attacks Mari and knocks her down, and starts fighting with Nanami. As he gets on her, Ayumu blinds him with a flashlight and Mari uses the stun gun on him. Nanami takes his glasses and gives them to Haruo, since his are broken. They take his truck and continue, but reach a landslide blocking the road and have to continue on foot again. Continuing in the mountain, Ayumu eventually needs to go to the bathroom and Nanami calls for a break and goes with her. Going around the bushes, Ayumu sees dead birds and then hears Nanami collapsing. Before she reaches her, a voice tells her to not go and they see man in the sky with a paramotor. He tells them that there is poisonous gas and they need to stay away. Ayumu wants to go to Nanami, but he tells her she is already dead. Ayumu blames herself for Nanami's death, while the man comments that due to the shifting plates, they don't know what could happen next in Mount. The man tries to leave, explaining he could take one with him, but Ayumu refuses to leave. Go recognizes him as Kite, a famous YouTuber. Mari asks Kite if he could take Go somewhere safe. Kite decides to leave his paramotor and takes the group somewhere safe. They reach a supermarket that still has electricity. Inside, they decide to look for a change of clothes. Seeing Haruo changing shoes, Ayumu comments that she wants to see him running again. A remote-controlled car then comes to them and tells them not steal from his shop and, if they move, he will kill them. The man shoots some warning arrows, and Kite realizes it's a single man on the catwalk. They attempt to hide, but the man manages to hit Go in the bag on his chest.
Go! Come this way! Go!
An arrow hits Go Mutoh and Kite quickly comes to perform first aid, but they see Go is fine and the arrow hit his game console. The store owner comes out and apologizes, stating that he didn't intend to hit anyone and tells them they can stay inside as storm is coming. The man takes the broken console and later fixes it. The group sits around a table and eat dinner and seeing the rain Go and Ayumu wonder if they can take a shower in the rain, but Kite tells them it's dangerous as he saw a nuclear power station in smokes and shows readings on his phone for higher radiation levels. In the morning, Kite wakes them and says that the building is tilted at 7 degrees and explains it's not just the building, but the whole Japanese archipelago is leaning towards the Pacific Ocean. As they prepare to leave, an earthquake occurs and they take the store owner's truck and leave. As they run, he tells them about safe place, Shen City, as they watch the road and the store collapsing behind them. Due to the road ahead being destroyed, they are forced to take a detour and later stop for the night. The next day, they find a hitchhiker, Daniel, and take him with them, although the store owner was against it as he hates foreigners. That night they reach Shan City, which is surrounded by a fence and has cameras. They are welcomed inside, letting them shower and later are given curry for dinner. Go comment he doesn't like it, as it contains vegetables and he doesn't like them, but Haruo comments it's just like his mother's and recalls how she was crushed during the earthquake. Osamu shows the group around, explaining how they are self-sustaining and that they are welcome to stay as long as they want. Osamu then shows them tents where they can spend the night. Kite visits the store owner and gives him morphine, realizing it's what he wanted. He takes it gladly, but explains he is there for another reason. In the morning, a woman exercises after taking a bath and a man reminds her it's time to meet the dead.
It's time for the meeting with the dead.
In the morning, Daniel joins the group and explains this is a community that accepts anyone and people are attracted because of Mother's ability. They see Mother coming out and a man announces that the meeting with the deceased will begin. Daniel explains that Mother is a medium and has the ability to speak with the dead. Kunio tells Go to follow Mother and explains he wants to see the ceremony. The rest also go see the ceremony and Daniel explains that Lord Daichi, the symbol of Shan City, is turning 10 and he serves as intermediary for Mother's ability. The mother uses her ability and invites the spirits of 2 deceased and allows them to talk with their relatives. After the seance, Kite takes Haruo's glasses and approach Mother, calling her fake and wanting to touch the glasses and connect to the deceased person. Osamu tells him to back off and that Mother only performed 3 times a day. Mother still touches the glasses and says they belong to a woman who said she wanted to take the break and to not worry about it. Hearing that, Ayumu comments that's Nanami and starts crying. The group later eats and Saburo informs them that there is school and work for anyone who wants to. Mari decides to send Go and Ayumu to school, while she and Haruo decide to work. They are sent to the marijuana fields to plug out weeds. Ayumu is sent to help a sick man, who tries to tell her something and a small earthquake occurs. She wonders if he tried to warn her about it, but doesn't believe that would be possible. Ayumu shares she wants to hear her father's voice, but Mari tells her it's better if she doesn't hear it. Ayumu blames her, saying it's because she wants to be with Daniel, and then leaves. She goes to a party which Go, Kite and Haruo had already went. Kite gets high on weed and replaces the DJ, playing Haruo's records, which annoys him, but Kite manages to convince Haruo to be the DJ and lets him play his own records. A man takes Ayumu outside and tries to get her hands on her, but she knocks him off. Kite shows up and sees it, causing him to laugh and talk nonsense. Early in the morning, Kite has no memory of what he was doing last night. Ayumu asks him why he haven't left Japan like the other rich people, but Kite comments because it seemed interesting. Ayumu then returns to her tent, where she sees her mother waiting, and helps her get a haircut. Mari explains that there isn't time to mourn her father, and she knows she would say to just continue with their lives, causing both to cry remembering him. Kunio kills some men with his bow and then goes and takes Lord Daichi.
Don't move! Put your hands up!
He wants to take him home, but as he drives out, he collapses and crashes the car at the gate of Shan City. Meanwhile, Kanae welcomes Osamu into her chamber. They proceed to have a passionate intercourse afterwards.